So they went ahead and started at Berea College in Kentucky in 1991. And the idea of going to Berea College first was that it was a work-study university, meaning everyone, I'm pretty sure it still is the same way today, everyone at that school is on work-study, and they go there for free as long as they work on campus. So that was a great way to start this idea of having service as well be a part of campus life and students' education. And then from there, they went and founded 27 scholar schools. And if you look at them on a map, you'll see they're perfectly situated along the Appalachian Trail, meaning that Corella intended to have the money come back to the area that she was so passionate about, the area that she grew up in. So what she wanted to see was that students from Appalachia and from other areas of the states could go to these schools and impact these communities positively and help students get to college and serve others. Then later on, as the program went on, we're talking about mid-90s now, a bunch of other universities started calling the foundation saying, we love the service learning model, we would love to have our students do it, but unfortunately the Bonner Foundation did not have the money to expand out. They only had enough for the endowment for the original 27 schools. And that's why we're called scholar schools. We're directly funded from the Bonner Foundation. Whereas the Bonner Leader Program is kind of a spin on the Scholar Program in that it's funded from a different location. Same program, same ideals, same common commitments, but it's funded through AmeriCorps. Has anyone heard of AmeriCorps? Yeah? Okay. It's like the Domestic Peace Corps, and essentially it provides slots for various amounts of activities that people can sign up for. So these schools have a certain number of slots. Like at our school, they have 100 AmeriCorps slots, and students get paid through a different avenue. They're still Bonners, still the same program. And the Bonner vision essentially includes three different kind of triads of development. And they see campuses as opportunities for creating real change. Wayne and Bobby, when thinking about politics or about development, knew that these processes are generally very slow and don't involve a lot of people. It's usually an elite few making big decisions. So they wanted to start seeing faster results with more people. And what better way to do that than through service in the community? By impassioning the people who are involved and by coming up with ways specific to the community to improve the issues. So that's when we see things like service-based learning and our learning classes. Anyone taking a service learning class here? Right. Where you actually apply the theories you're learning in class to the community you're working in. Imagine if we had every class like that. Imagine if, bio majors testing pH water, the level of pH in water, we're testing it in the James River. Or if political science majors were getting involved in politics in Richmond and advocating for issues they cared about. If everything we did was applied, think of all the impact we could make. And think of all the nonprofits that are lacking the research and the materials and the latest theories and models that we have access to from our library and our research, right? So this collaboration is beneficial for everyone involved. So again, student development, access to education, which then brings students to campus, and then they can improve the campus infrastructure by bringing other students on board and creating a culture of service on campus. And thirdly, that campus can work together to create community impact and really make a difference on the local scale. And if we're doing this all over the country, think of what that looks like in the big picture. And another way of looking at it is oftentimes we don't think about how this looks from the community partners aspect. We're always like, oh, I want to work at this site, no, I want to work here. This year I'm interested in, right? But it's really about community change and where your skills can help advance the goals of an organization. And so this is just an interesting way of looking at it. And something I found interesting when working at the foundation is from the perspective of a community partner, they see it as, for example, the exploration phase, which is characterized by freshmen by the first year, all the way through expertise phase where us seniors would be involved with. And that correlates with a variety of types of work you could be doing. So, for those who were shadowing the first year process, they're involved in one-time service projects or regular volunteer work. And those of us who are seniors might really be engaged in some planning meetings with full-time staff and thinking about the future, about fundraising, and then providing our research. Maybe our thesis could be related. Maybe different academic articles we've encountered, or organizational leadership theory, or stuff in the business school about restructuring the way this nonprofit may be approaching the issues that they're addressing. So that's what essentially the Bonner program is trying to do, and that's where the change happens. Hopefully in your 4 years you're able to specialize enough both in your service and in your academics to kind of intersect them and make positive, real change in the nonprofit you've been working with. And this is just an interesting little thing. You know how we have our own student development through the 5 E's. The foundation itself has developed in all sorts of ways. So if you look in this timeline, it goes from 1990 to 2010, and you can see where the Berea pilot and the 22 original scholar schools started out, and then they, in the 1995, got around to community-based research. So that phrase you hear now was created by organizations like Bonner, who have incorporated that. And it kind of goes through, and now we're in an area where we incorporated Serve 2.0. Have you guys heard about the wiki, right? The name, you're doing stuff on the group pages on Richmond, right? This isn't just something that Richmond came up with as their own program. It's actually communicated by the foundation of taking service to the next level, of communicating, collaborating through social media tools, as well as policy options, which is a whole other realm. But if you're interested in policy, we're trying to connect service to politics in new ways, and that's what that's about. And finally, they're working now on an impact focus. So what? 20 years later, we're finally able to use quantitative data to assess the impact that Bonners nationwide have made on the communities over the past 20 years. So it's going to be a really interesting milestone for the foundation to see really what's been going on and where we can make better change. So that was my learning experience at the Bonner Foundation. It's really cool to see the whole national picture and to have met so many people, so many students and administrators who care about this work just as much as we do. Because I've tended to think in the Richmond realm that there's so much more, and it's cool to get particularly Wayne and Bobby's input. I didn't really even mention, Wayne's the president of the Bonner Foundation and Bobby's the vice president. And they started thinking about all this when they were our age and look what they've accomplished and how many students have been able to go to college because of them and how many communities have been impacted. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, you know? Like, these ideas and dreams and goals and ambitions you might have now could really branch out and do something big in the future. So, it's a good example of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.